From the advertising media capital of the world, New Milford, Connecticut, wherever that is. This is Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson.
I bet y'all didn't know that's me on the banjo. It's true. Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson, presented by Silverback Advertising, online at silverbackadvertising.com. Season number 6. Thank you for being here for the first episode of season number 6. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. The seasons are completely arbitrary. I just don't do a podcast for a few weeks, and then I say, oh, yeah, because it was off. Now this is the new season. So now I got to do one for a couple weeks in a row. Season 6. Totally made it up. It means nothing. But anyway, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Last week was Digital Dealer, in case you didn't know. It was impossible to miss via social media and email blast and all that. So I'm sure you knew it was Digital Dealer. But if you're like me and you missed it, maybe you're wondering what was happening at Digital Dealer. What was going on? What was everybody wearing? What was the word on the street? What were the sessions like? What was the vibe? So let's talk to somebody who was at Digital Dealer. And Kyle Mountsier was there. Everyone knows Kyle was there because he had all kinds of stuff going on. So let's bring him on and talk about Digital Dealer. What's up, Kyle? How are you?
Yo, what's up, Matt?
Dude, you were all over Digital Dealer.
Dude, we're starting season 6 together. How cool is that? That's a big deal, right? Because
isn't it a huge honor to be on the premiere episode of season 6?
Premiere episode. I've never been on a premiere episode of anything except for my own show. So that's a big deal. We'll call it.
Well, here you are. Thank you. I appreciate it. Digital Dealer, man, it looked awesome. And more importantly, I mean, it's cool that everyone was together, and we'll talk about that as well. But one of my coworkers was there, and he, was calling me like in between all the sessions, and was like, hey, go on, I'm going to download this deck from this session, and we'll go over it next week with some people from the office and da-da-da-da. And I said, what's the vibe there, man? And he said the vibe was super positive. So I want to ask you, what was the vibe? What was the energy like amongst the automotive industry at Digital Dealer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a really positive vibe. For me, there were kind of like just different sectors of energy, right? Some that were just kind of the regular run of the mill, I'm walking the halls type of thing and seeing people. It wasn't quite the, like, if people were at Tampa, it was like everywhere you turned, someone was like high-fiving and hugging, like, I've never seen you before, right?
Yeah, right.
Even though it only been a couple years.
Right.
Right. And there was some of that here, but I think more of the energy, it was obviously a packed expo hall. It felt like a lot of dealers were very intentional about the things they were doing, the people they were seeing, and the sessions they were attending. From what I could tell, the sessions were well attended. The hall was not a lot of standing around. There was a lot of at the booths trying to find the newest tech. Having missed NADA now for a year, and then missing the digital dealers, and this one being a more packed show. It felt very intentional from the dealer side,
Mhm.
and then from the session side, I was encouraged. I didn't get to attend a lot of the sessions, but I was encouraged to see some pretty dynamic session titles, and I think that the feedback that I was getting was people were getting a lot out of them.
Did it seem like dealers went into it, like you said, like with a plan? Like, okay, I'm going to digital dealer and I want to learn about this. I want to talk to this person. I want to visit this booth. I need to learn more about this tech, as opposed to like, let me just go and hang out and see what's up. Like people like pre-planned what they were going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially a lot of the people on the marketing side, or the non like owner general manager, it did
Mhm.
seem like you could kind of tell there was a trend of like, tracks almost.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to these three things. Oh, that's in a track. You're actually trying to like pull something out of that type of environment,
Right.
whether it was there, kind of I kind of sense there was like a data track, there was a vehicle acquisition track, there was
Mhm.
a marketing and analytics track, right? And it seemed like you could find people going to those same types of things. So that was a really interesting feel for me.
What things are like, what's on people's minds right now, right? Like we're all talking about, acquisition and vehicles and the chip shortage and inventory problems, and there's that like day-to-day, discussion going on. But like what's the like the more higher level thing that you felt like was kind of a common theme throughout conversations you had over the week?
Yeah, I think it was, especially for the people that were there, was a new level of like preparedness that they were searching for. It wasn't necessarily like the quick fix for December. It was like, what am I preparing for
Yeah.
that's long term, that actually has foresight baked into it, instead of just like what's the newest widget, or what's it. It was, people going, How does all this kind of fit and work together, right?"
Right.
One thing that was interesting, Paul J. Daly and I had a session, and it was all about building internal marketing teams, which, if you
Mhm.
know us, that's kind of what we're all about.
Yep. Yep.
But what was really interesting to me was in that session, it was only people in the marketing teams or vendors. Actually,
Really?
we didn't have a single like executive level employee, general manager, owner, dealer, principal in that session.
Hmm.
And that was a little bit concerning to me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
Maybe they sent their marketers, but also, there's this like matrix that the whole thing is about being a digital dealer. The whole like place is about these marketing tools or analytics tools or digital retailing, all these tools that the marketers are using. Yet the owners
Yeah.
maybe aren't placing focus on that part of their stores. And we
Yeah.
made this joke. We said we probably should have just ran a therapy session at the during the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're all together in a room, all the marketers, like, what's your
Right.
woes? What's the,
Yeah.
but and I get like there's a ton of sessions, and so I'm not saying that like all the dealers needed to come to that session, but
Right.
it kind of seemed like, the dealers were in the, the process, still, and the marketers were in the data and analytics,
Yeah.
which I guess is the role. But a lot of times what I think, what I wish would happen at these events is that would actually be switched, right?
Mhm.
That the marketers, that those people would be going to these things to maybe learn more of the process and day to day, and that the dealers would go to learn more of the marketing, so that they could communicate better. So that was
When I
an
was
interesting trend that I saw.
when I was at my group before I worked for the agency, one of the dealers in my store, one of the stores in my group came to me and he said, "Matt," he said, let's talk about treating your department like it's an agency, and what can we do internally? What can we coordinate internally? What can we leverage across multiple stores in the group?" And I about cried at
That's a,
that
that's a big
concept.
deal.
But we need, but everyone's got to think like that. Like we want more people to think like that because it was awesome at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that gave you ownership, a level of like entrepreneurship that probably scratched an itch, you know?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
pretty cool.
All right. And what was the worst session of the week? Just kidding. You don't have to say. It's okay. Just didn't want to put you on the spot.
No, yeah. I
Um,
mean, I'll say this: so I was at driving sales and digital dealer. I only got to go to about 5 sessions just because of like I spoke 4 times, and then the events that were being planned and a few different things that I was doing. But um, the the thing that I love and I hate, and I know I've recently moved from the dealer side to the vendor side, right? So I
yeah.
get that there's an element that anytime you're in a session with a vendor, there's going to be some level of pitchiness, right?
All right. Yeah, of course.
But the ones that lean deeper into that don't have an overall vision for the industry are the worst for me, right?
Hmm.
Where it's like, okay, this might be something that we do as a company, but here are some practical tools that you can do, whether or not you
Yeah.
engage with our company. I wish there were more takeaways like that. And there are
Hmm.
some that consistently do that over and over. I think of like a George Nenny, right? His
Yeah.
sessions are full like of everything that he does, but he gives you the practical tools. If you're going there, sitting there taking notes, pulling the deck, that you can go home and implement. So I
Yeah.
I wish that more vendors that are speaking would pay attention to that type of feel,
Yeah.
you know?
I agree. That's a vendor skill. I was on a panel with local like town square media group. It was like a chamber of commerce thing, and it was all virtual because it was during COVID time. And so
Right.
it was a chamber of commerce thing. So they had a town square media ignite person on there, it was a digital person, and then they had a social media person, they had a video people, and they had me on from the agency side. And they were like, we want to have you on to talk about OTT because that's what your agency's, like primary thing is. I'm like, all right, no problem. So I'm there and, we're fielding questions and talking, but the radio person was like hard selling radio. And
Right.
like, I don't think I even mentioned the name of my agency. I was just there to help educate local business owners in a small market in Connecticut. Like, here's what OTT is. Here's how you can use it to your advantage. Here's the kind of questions you got to ask when you're working with somebody. Like, I wasn't there to be like, hey, call me if you need anything. Like, right. It was about the education as opposed to the sales pitch. And sure, eventually, of course, that's my job, is to have people use my agency for OTT.
Absolutely.
That's why I
Yeah.
have a podcast. That's why I have that's my job. But there's a time and a place. And in a situation like that, people, the Chamber of Commerce members who are there at the event, they don't want to be sold. They're there because they want to learn how they can help their business. And the other vendor in the room wasn't reading the room the right way. And because people like you and I have been on the other side of it, we
Yes.
know, like I know what I'm cognizant of what somebody I'm pitching is thinking, because I was the one getting the pitches as you
Right.
were 57 times a week, coming out my ears. So
Right. Exactly.
interesting that you say that. Were there any other new like entrants, like new people who you haven't seen before, new to the scene, people who are making their first appearance, a new piece of technology or a new strategy that was out there that kind of caught your eye?
Well, it was one of the things that was interesting to see after like the last few conferences, and especially the in-person ones, was to see some of like the up and comers that 3 years ago kind of had the startup booth, the
Mhm.
simple step and repeat, and one little table, go
Yeah.
from that to really like stepping into this event, like pressing in with their booth and with their intentionality from a sales perspective. I think of like a web buy or a VinQ or things like that were
Yeah.
really, they came to play. Like they weren't messing around with their booth, and they have some really interesting technology too. So I thought that was cool. From a technology perspective, something that a lot of people didn't know about, but that I've kind of been talking about over the last, I don't know, 9 months, is a newer company to the American market, which is UVI. And I think a lot of people were surprised by that. It's a technology that can, it uses video under the car and beside the car to kind of look at a lot of things, alignment, suspension, all this.
Mhm.
And they had a really fun booth. They had like a little car, a little like kiddie car or whatever. So there was some fun to it, and they were all dressed in like overalls, like mechanic
Oh, that's
overalls.
cool. Yeah, like a
Yeah, they
theme.
they they did it really well. But I think then a lot of people were really surprised because some of the other companies that do similar things to them costs a ton more. So they're really like disrupting,
Yeah.
what people are doing in like in-lane services and video technology from a service perspective. And you don't see a lot of service stuff at shows. And so to see them with a big booth, to see Fixed Ops Digital with a big booth, I think it's timely, right? Where we're at in the market, where service people are pressing in, but also just cool to see that at digital dealers, service is getting a larger viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably in line with, just general discussions about fixed ops. Is it's always like, here's what we're doing, and then, oh, by the way, here's what we're going to do for service. It's like, why isn't
Right.
that up towards the top of the discussion, and why isn't that represented represented as much at the trade shows?
Right.
But because if it was, maybe more fixed ops guys would go too. Like if a fixed ops manager might not, an owner's not going to foot the bill for his fixed ops guy to go to Vegas for a week if there's not going to be anything for that guy to learn, to absorb while he's there. How far did you run when you were in Vegas? I know there was a run, a fun run, a group run.
Total, I did 3 out of the 5 days that I was there. I wanted to do that last day, but I had to get up early for something else. So I think I only did, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, only 12 miles. I did 23 this last weekend. So
wow,
over 2 days.
Was it 113 degrees at all in Vegas?
It was not. It was beautiful out there, except for one day. On Monday, we had this dust storm. It was absolutely ridiculous. Dust everywhere, sand when you went outside, and planes were being like, it was like every plane was coming in and then they went away, right? It was no good. I mean, people, for those that hate flying, plug your ears real quick. But I mean, people telling me stories of people praying out loud on the planes and like 60-mile-per-hour winds. So other than that, like 7 hours in the afternoon on Monday, everything else, it was just gorgeous weather, mid to high 60s and perfect fallish weather. So
Vegas is so funny. I was out there once with a radio group, and we were out front of I don't know what it was an arena, and there was a concert, and we were out there broadcasting live, and it started to rain, and it rained really hard, and people started slipping and falling down, and they canceled the event. And I was like, I'm from the Northeast. I went to a Bon Jovi concert once in like 2 feet of snow. Like, we don't cancel anything up here. So they were like, oh yeah, when it rains too hard, all the oil comes up and everything's slippery, and the roads are dangerous or whatever. So we're canceling the concert. And I was like, where am I? Is this the United States?
That's hilarious.
Vegas is it's like Mars. It's like another world out there.
It is a whole nother world. Yeah. So I'm telling you what, I was out there Saturday to Thursday, and it just felt like I'm from Nashville. So it is a totally different world unless you're on Nashville Broadway, which no one local goes there. Right.
No,
I mean, it's just like two worlds. You can't even like juxtapose them against each other. They're just wildly different. So
what's going on with Contagious Auto? You guys you and Paul, by the way, who both have, do you guys use a special beard oil, or because you guys with the beards? I don't know.
Yeah, we both traveled to Central Ohio to get our hair cut. And then the beard oil, you actually have to get in Seattle. No, I'm just messing.
I figured there must be some kind of plan in place, because I have one friend who's got a big beard and he's always working on it. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of work, man.
No,
how you do it?
We're just lucky. We're lucky. We kind of were given this. I don't do any work to it, which is really funny. But yeah, my first day there, I got mistaken for Paul. The third day there, Paul's in the lunch line. Someone's like, "Hey, Kyle, I'm going to send you that deck that I told you 3 months ago." He's like, "I don't even know what you're talking about."
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that happening. I can see that happening.
So now we've got two two big things. And one of the things we were doing, and I've kind of been brought into, which is Automotive State of the Union, which people might have seen around. And we had a really, really fun event that we're going to be putting out the content where some of the big movers and shakers from the industry are just coming together and going, hey, no, the way that we've always done this thing is not the way that we need to continue to do it. And so that's really just going to be a rally point for those in automotive that are going, nope. We're going to put a stake in the ground, say this is what we're calling the new center of automotive, like the old way, the traditional, and nothing against NADA, but that kind of being the center. Like, we're going to shift that and show people like this new stake in the ground, the way that the way that people are challenging things, whether it be from a marketing or operational perspective. So that's Automotive State of the Union. But then Contagious is like that's the get the fingers in the dirt, get dirty with dealers, and what we were talking about earlier, which is building internal marketing teams, and really for those groups that are medium to large size, is building out that agency perspective. And whether or not it ever goes agency where they work with other dealers or outside organizations, it's really about building a team that can implement in this new digital space, understands content creation, digital analytics, community involvement, all of that stuff. And so right now we're building out a learning management platform to kind of lead the way in training for those people that we want to bring from outside of automotive into automotive, which is, I think, the place that we're going to find the best marketers. Groom some, but bring some from outside and really show this incredible industry. It's a really neat opportunity for us in an industry that's mainly brought people in through the sales or service perspective.
Are you finding that dealers are receptive to the idea of either scaling up a guy or two guys, maybe that they have at a 12-store group for marketing, or to scale that up, receptive to that idea, or even like creating, if they don't have it at all, that's a whole new department. It's a whole new process. It's new people. It's new infrastructure. It's new cost to them. Are dealers receptive to that idea? Or is it like, you got to kind of start teaching them and showing them why it's important? Or they're like, oh man, this is
Yeah, I mean, so think the people that we've talked to so far are extremely receptive of it, and this is why, and I think it's different. Historically, maybe it was you have to have someone in-house that handles your marketing, and what that meant was that handles your advertising.
Yeah,
right. And our perspective is flipped on that. We still say we have to have someone or a team of someones that are in-house that handle your marketing, but it's a lot broader than that, right? It actually is the people that that carry the vision of the owner operator in a communicative matrix that's both internal and external, right? It's not just client acquisition. It's actually employee culture, employee community engagement, that this team who becomes the greatest communicators actually like crafts and cultivates. And so what it does is it increases retention, decreases costs, streamlines efficiency, and creates a loyal client and employee based on the way that you're going to market and engaging. And so once we explain it like that, they're like, whoa, you mean I can have a team that's actually in charge of doing that? And that team that like puts out content and does social media actually creates a more, not just engaged client, but a more engaged employee. Yeah. That's actually what happens when we see it done well.
Before I let you go, did I see that you guys did a live podcast at Digital Dealer? Did I catch that?
We did a live podcast. We didn't stream it live, but it was live in front of people. So we recorded the whole thing. A guy named Darren Doan shot it. So we'll be putting that out here in the next few weeks, but it was absolutely bananas.
That's so fun, right?
It was so much fun. Yeah.
Some of the best times I ever had in radio were on live broadcast, because anything can happen when it was always live, but when you're outside of the studio in radio, there's that level of excitement and you're out of your comfort zone. And I always love when there was like crazy like stuff going on. Like I remember we were in New Hampshire Motor Speedway once, and we were broadcasting from this like room. They made us a studio, and my partner and I were sitting there and we were interviewing. They would make us interview sponsors. So like, Sylvania, the light bulb company. Well, they had this wacky like mascot who was clearly on some kind of psychotropic drugs named Dot It Dude. And remember, it's like those Dot It lights, and he was like head to toe covered in Dot It. So he got to interview Dot It guy, because we promised Sylvania, the sponsor of the race, they would get them some radio interviews. So we'd be like, all right, fine. So we're sitting there like interviewing Dot It guy who's totally just whacked out. And like, how do you make this interview interesting that nobody listening cares about? But the guy was funny. So like we tried to make it interesting. We had fun with it. It was a blast. And as we're interviewing this guy, Jeff Gordon walks in and walks through the studio walks into the studio next to us to do their radio show. And we're like, how come we got Dotted Guy and Jeff Gordon just went next door? But it was hysterical because it was live. Right. You can't, right? You got people coming in and out of Digital Dealer. You got people watching and guests coming in and out in front of the mic. And that's fun. That's like a great vibe. And people want to listen to that. So put that stuff out. I want to hear it.
Yeah, we will. Definitely. You'll see that come out. And yeah, watch out for Erica Tiffany. She spits some straight fire.
Erica Tiffany.
Really fun. Yep. So yeah, you'll get to see all that and watch for that Automotive State of the Union, the social links, or follow myself or Paul J. Daly on social, and you'll see that stuff drop over the next couple months.
Is Pitch Tank still happening?
Absolutely. Yep. Should be happening this week. I think we're going to move to every couple of weeks, just, from my timing perspective and the people that we have in there. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling.
I stick it on my calendar so I remember to listen in when it happens, because you never remember what's going on. So I put it on my calendars for Wednesday, and then if I have something going on, I just click it so it's not sitting there. And then last time I tried, I don't think it was happening, and I was like, oh shoot, I'm sure everyone's getting ready for Digital Dealer or whatever. But I wanted to ask you if it was still going on. I really like listening in to it. I really think I don't know. I find it interesting, even if I'm not in the market for anything that's being pitched. Or it's nice to here's what's going on. It's like being in a bunch of meetings you weren't invited to, and you find out what people are talking about. I love that. You're
getting 4 or 5 demos a week. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. And they're the exact length of time that I can pay attention to a demo, which is 3 minutes.
That's it. That's all.
Before I'm like, what's going on? I wonder what's going on for lunch today. I'm trying to focus. Awesome. Right. Kyle, I appreciate you filling us in on what was going on. What's the next big thing? When's our next conference industry thing?
AAAS, you got Brian Pash puts on AAAS in November. It's in Florida. It'll be gorgeous. I think it's the 14th, 15th, 16th or something like that. So check that out. And then I think there's a couple small things going on in January, February, and then early March is NADA. And they are going to throw down. They're holding it in the Raiders ballpark, which will be really, really cool, or at least the opening event. So nice. Sounds like they're throwing down for that. Should be fun.
Cool. All right, Kyle, appreciate your time.
Yeah, great hanging with you, Matt.
Have a good one. There you go. Kyle Mountsier joining us for the first episode of season 6, which means nothing, but it was nice to have Kyle here to talk about Digital Dealer and all that was going on. There are more episodes coming up. Season 6 is stacked, man. I got 5, 6, 7 awesome topics lined up every Tuesday and Thursday for the next, I'm not good at math. So if I have 7 episodes divided by, forget it. We got plenty of episodes coming up. So listen in. We appreciate it. Presented by Silverback Advertising, online at silverbackadvertising.com.
Mostly Automotive Marketing with Matt Wilson is brought to you by... Wait, this guy has sponsors? Oh, never mind. This sheet of paper's blank. No sponsors. That makes more sense. For updates, info, future episodes, and more, follow on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and connect on Frackle. You guys made that last one up. That's not even a thing, Frackle. Come on.